Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Simply Fit. I'm your host, Sandy White, your number one health and wellness cheerleader. And we have got Lori Ford on today, guys. But before we get into all of the juicy parts, I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. But I do want to thank WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network for allowing Simply Fit to be on their platform for a third season. Guys, we're on a mission to save 1 million lives by encouraging individuals to live a simply fit life through health and nutrition so that they're able to overcome suicide and depression. And without WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network allowing us to be on their platform, I can guarantee you we would not be in the position that we are today. So again, thank you, WYTV7. And guys, go to the website, WYTV7.org, and check out all of the wonderful things that we're doing in the community and what the other broadcasters are doing as well. Please make a donation. This allows us to continue to show you guys wonderful segments like these and to keep you informed of what we're doing in the community. Now, without further ado, let me tell you a little bit about Lori, and then she's going to come on and give you guys some other wonderful tips and strategies to help you guys out. All right. So I just wanted to let you guys know that she is an author of You Are Enough, How to Heal from Your Couch Therapy Workbook, and she'll go into that, as well as I Am Enough Affirmation Journal. She is an experienced, licensed clinical mental health counselor. And guys, right now, a lot of stuff is going on. COVID-19, stuck in the house. Some people have lost their job. She'll go through all of that on how her counseling sessions can help you. She also counsels women and offering them a virtual safe place for their healing. And she does this, from your home. So you don't have to come to the office. There's no excuse. And she'll tell you a little bit about this. So if you stay to the end, she'll provide you with the website so you can get a copy of her free guide, Coping with Anxiety and Stress. She provides therapy for women centered around becoming their authentic selves in the comfort, as I mentioned, their own homes. She combines different therapeutic approaches based on her clients' concerns, goals, symptoms, and motivation. So let's welcome Lori to the show so she can walk us through how she can help you or someone you love to find your voice and to take your power back. Thank you so much, Lori, and welcome to the show.
Hey guys, and thank you so much for inviting me, for having me. I love being on shows and just sharing the wealth of knowledge that I have. So I am super excited.
Thank you. Thank you. And I know you got a heavy schedule, so we're going to keep you on track. So
Okay.
we don't mess your schedule up. But let's jump into like how can you give some details, or do you mind sharing some details about your backstory and how you even got started in this counseling arena?
Okay. Wow. So I'm originally from Virginia. So I grew up under my grandparents' leadership. I was born to a drug addicted mom, and I do not currently know my biological father. And so, with that being said, just knowing like low self esteem, abandonment, neglect really showing up in my life. But when I was growing up, mental awareness and mental health was not known. And it wasn't something that our family advocated for. And so I always wanted to be the change agent that I didn't have in the world. I didn't have that. I didn't have anybody that I could actually go and talk to about what's going on with me. I thought that what was going on with me was normal. And so God has allowed me to just be a change agent in the world. He has helped me through ministering to me through devotionals and showing me like, okay, Lord, you can do this and you can help other people through this as you work through your healing.
That's awesome. And I love the fact that you said that you want to be a change agent, because that shows that you're selfless, even though you went through what you went through. And because the reason I say that, because a lot of people don't care how much you know, they want to know how much you care. So that's awesome. And so you also, in that process of telling us a little bit about your background, it gave me a little bit of insight on what you were doing to keep yourself on track. Were there some other tips that you want to share with folks real quick on what they can do if they found themselves in the same situation that you found yourself in, fatherless, and how they can stay on track?
So two things that definitely incorporated throughout my life, definitely Christ. I've always grew up in the church, not just religion, but relationship. And so definitely making sure Christ is the head of my life, and then just leaning on him and not my own understanding, even through tough times in college. And then as I became an adult, I went to therapy myself. So guys, it's okay. Even as a therapist, I have a therapist, and I had to know that I'm human too. And I had issues that I need to work through as well. And so I wouldn't be where I am today unless I had God as the head of my life. But then also the practical part is going to therapy to help heal the things that I need to help others heal.
And this is so awesome. A lot of people in your position as a change agent, a mover, shaker in the arena, would not even admit that they go to therapy. And therapy is not a bad thing. Therapy gets you to where you want to go, because someone can see something that you're not seeing based off the fact that you're in whatever train of thought you're in, you're not seeing outside of the bubble. So that brings me to my next question. Can you tell us about the work that you do, and then what you specialize in, and why someone would really want to work with you over another counselor?
Okay. So I have experience with all ages. I once was a school counselor first, but God has really niched me down, and I specialize in helping women only with their inner child issues. And inner child is basically rooted trauma. So for example, you may be 35, but that inner child shows up as unexpected company, but the inner child is 12. So I cannot talk about your 35-year-old self in the beginning of the sessions. We have to go back to your 12-year-old self and nurture that 12-year-old that didn't get the love that she needed. So I realized that a lot of my clients didn't understand why this unexpected company was showing up. And so I was able to help them through that and then see the light. Now we can work on 35-year-old. And so that's what I specialize in, because your voice can't be heard if you're still 12. You're speaking from a 12-year-old's perspective and not 35. So when you're at work, that 12-year-old is showing up. So your voice can't be heard until she's healed at 12. And then you can speak from the 35-year-old.
And that helps people so much, because just saying what you just said, if that's going through somebody's mind, they probably think that they are got some loose marbles upstairs. Like, why? I'm 35 and I'm acting like I'm 12, and they're not connecting the pieces of the puzzle together. So that brings me to my next question.
Okay.
You mentioned that you are centered in Christ and you do therapy, and we already talked about how people do therapy as a stigma. How are you putting therapy and prayer and Christ together to help folks get beyond, okay, I'm 35, but I'm acting like I'm 12?
Okay. So one thing is awareness, right? So we know that God is the center. He's the head. He's the master. We have to lean on him. But he also put people on this earth to help you in the practical way. So it's not saying if you go to God in prayer, you can't go to therapy. It's nowhere in the Bible that talks about that. You can have both. So you need to definitely lean on God. And guess what he'll do? He'll guide you to the right therapist that he has ordained to help you. So in therapy, we give practical tips such as dealing with anxiety, cutting out caffeine, exercising, deep breathing, grounding techniques, right? We do that. But then in the Bible, it talks about casting your cares and burdens on God. So through prayer, right? Through listening to him, through giving him your all, right? That's what we do with prayer and God. But it doesn't mean they have to be separate. I always say that God plus therapy equals healing. You can't have one without the other. And that's just my perspective on it. However, I do have clients that I'll ask them, are you okay with, and that's on your intake, are you okay with, well, first I'll ask with your religion, what you believe on. Are you okay with incorporating these in your sessions? Of course, ethically, I have to be respectful if they say no, and we will definitely go the practical route. And I personally pray for my clients on my own. So just because you say, no, I don't believe in God, I may believe in Buddha, that's fine. But guess what? I'm still here to pray for you as your soul. And so I'll do my part. And through my prayers, I already know they're going to be answered. And so, but I give clients that option. I have clients that ask to do devotionals with me during the session, and that's okay. because I know what I'm called to. If you don't want to do devotional, I'm still called to you. I'll pray for you outside of this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm laughing because I do the same thing, and it's so hilarious. But Mark 11:23-24 says, whatever you pray, believe what you pray when you say, you'll have it. And I'm like you. I don't care I'm not going to disrespect for what you're saying, but I'm going to do what God told me to do to help you out. And it's so ironic that you say that, because even though somebody may take that standpoint, when you're praying for them on the background, it's like God is telling you that they're going to come around. And they're like, I don't know what happened. How did you're like, girl, don't even worry about it. Well, let me ask you this. What are some things that you cover in your couch therapy workbook that I don't want you to give all your little secrets away, but some things that, people can kind of get a little feel for, because if they're used to a one-on-one where, they're physically seeing you, now they're doing it virtually. How can they still get that same experience?
So, okay, let me break down the question. So the first question is some things in my workbook you want me to kind of shed some light on.
Right.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about, one of my favorite things about workbook is called your mirror reflection. So you have to write a letter to your mirror reflection. When we hear mirror reflection, we hear, oh, your makeup, your outside appearance. But no, you're writing a letter to your inside mirror reflection. So what's inside of you? You're not writing a letter into, hey, girl, your makeup popping. We're not writing a letter to that part of you. We're writing a letter to the inner part of you in words that you wanted to hear, maybe as a child or even as an adult, that you never heard, but you're taking on the responsibility to write that letter to yourself. So I love the fact that that's in the workbook, because those are some things that I do in therapy. But if you don't want to come to therapy, you're really, on the fence, hey, take this therapy workbook and you can work through your own healing at your own pace on your couch.
And I think that where this comes in, it really makes the person think, because those are the inner demons that they're afraid of. And I think sometimes people maybe they use that as a crutch. So if I get rid of that, now I can be successful, and I can be a finisher and complete certain things that I'm called to do. But if I don't have this crutch to lean on, what am I going to do? But I think that is so awesome that you're taking them there, because you're like, no, you have to address these inner demons so you can move forward, because it's so many people on the other side of what you won't do. So what will you see when you do what you're supposed to do? So, but real quick, guys, I'm enjoying this interview with Lori. So we're going to take a quick sponsor commercial break by Dr. Greenlee for pelvic floor, and we'll be right back.
80% of women will develop a pelvic health condition at some point in their lives. There is relief. There is hope. The Pelvic Floor Store, your resource for personal health.
Welcome back to another edition of Simply Fit. And if you're just joining us, I'm Sandy White, the host of Simply Fit, your number one health and wellness cheerleader. And we have been talking with Lori Ford in reference to the counseling sessions that she does. And she's going to let y'all know a little bit more about what she's doing. And one of her quotes is, God plus therapy equals healing. So let's jump right back into the second half of our segment, so Lori can share some more wonderful takes on what she's doing. Right now, she's doing her therapy virtually. But what I want to know, if you can share what some of the services are that you're offering virtually, and what books that outside, matter of fact, if they're just jumping on, piggyback on the couch therapy workbook real quick. So some of the things that you're doing virtually, and then piggyback on the couch therapy workbook.
Okay, so I provide individual counseling for women. I also do master classes on how to create your own workbook or journal masterclass. I also do speaking events, Zoom right now because of the pandemic. And I'm also doing some groups for women, and it's mainly support groups of empowerment and building your self-esteem for women.
Awesome. So let's jump into some best pieces of advice that you want to share with the listeners, and who desires to change in their mental health, but they don't know where to start. If you can kind of give them some little kickstarters, because a lot of people lie to themselves. Okay. I'm being honest.
So one of my best suggestions, I don't like to use advice sometimes because to me it's like a crutch, like, oh, let me just take this, and if it doesn't work, then you said it. So I'll just say a suggestion and you choose, right? One of my suggestions is, if you don't know where to start, just start, y'all. Just start. Just start by researching, going on Psychology Today, which is a huge platform for therapists. Go on Black female therapists. Go on Black therapy for Black girls. Go on BetterHelp. Go on Talkspace. It's so many platforms that you can go on to find a therapist. But what I want to share with you is, guys, just start, right? That's one of the things. The other advice or suggestion I kind of want to throw out there, it's like an empowerment statement, is your environment does not dictate your future. So you may grow up in an environment that may be in poverty. You might grow up in an abusive environment, but that does not have to be your forever, right? Your forever, your 5-year, 10-year, 20-year plan does not have to look like what happened to you as a kid. You wasn't asked to be here, right? You were born into this. And just because you were born into this doesn't mean you stay into it. But guess what? You're going to need help along the way, right? So you're going to have God and the people that he placed in your life. And a therapist can help you beyond your thinking. So let me give you one example. You can't show up like your 5-year self if you only have the capacity of your 15-year-old self. So if I could get you 5 to 10 years ahead, you can't get yourself there because your brain is only at the age that you are now. And sometimes your environment will make you feel like this is normal. So therapy also is an eye opener, right? This is not normal. However, I can help you get to that normal place. So my suggestion is just start and also do your research, and also know that your how you started does not have to be the end of it.
I like that. Now I'm going to ask you this one question, but I think you've answered it so far in many different pieces throughout the interview. But what is the best phrase or affirmations that you could use to share how you're breaking the stigma of mental health? I guess it's because you're working with a lot of women, so in that arena.
Okay, so I do have a affirmation product line, and it's entitled I Am Enough. Can't take the credit. The Holy Spirit gave it to me. Growing up, I never felt like enough, even in college or even after college. I felt like I was always going after the accolades and the value in things that didn't bring me this much joy. So God began to minister to me in Genesis and in Ephesians, where he talks about how we are chosen. We were created in his image. We are his masterpiece. We are tailor-made. And it's, you are enough because I created you. And so a lot of women struggle with the same thing. And I'm like, wow, God. And so I have t-shirts that says, I am enough. These are reminders because on some days you're not going to feel like you're enough. I have t-shirts. I have an affirmation journal with scriptures and affirmations in it. I have mugs that says I'm enough. I have bags, but the I am enough slogan is a slogan in itself. I am enough just the way I am.
And I think a lot of people, as you already mentioned, they don't believe that. And so those constant reminders will get into their unconscious mind. And if they go through your affirmations right before they go to sleep, oh my God, what a huge difference their next day will be. So yes. Will these be the main cornerstones for showing somebody how to regain their power and their voice?
So yes, one of the big things is first healing where you're stuck at, because your voice is silent at 25 because you're still having a tantrum from 12. And so when I speak, I'm speaking from a place of anger and hurt, and I'm not speaking of a place of wisdom and guidance because I'm still hurt from 12 because my boss triggered me. And I feel like my boss is trying to control me, but when he's just trying to provide structure, because when I was 12, I had no control because when I was touched. And so you see how it all correlates together. And so your voice is silent until you go through that healing process. And that's also in therapy. Number 2, the affirmations are just building you through the process. Healing is not always exciting and happy. And so these affirmations will remind you on those tough days, I am enough. On those tough days, I still can do this. On those tough days, I am still worthy. So I use a lot of affirmations, and I even have my clients script affirmations on their phone and record it so your brain can hear your voice on those days which you don't have no energy left. So you will just press the button and you will hear your own affirmation.
So let me ask you this. Is that the, I guess it really doesn't make a difference what age the person is stuck in. But I just have this one question, and it may not come out right, and that's why you're here. You can fix it out. So if someone is not a finisher, how does that tie into going to therapy? Or should, or is that those are not, they just being lazy and procrastinating?
Well, we do have to meet the client where they are, right? And so I do the stages of change, and we talk about where you are in the stages of change. Some people are just at awareness, like the pre-contemplation stage, right? Some people are at the action stage where they're ready to put in that action and tackle these goals, right? So it depends on which stage they are in, but I can work with you at any stage because it's called work. You're not going to always start off here. You do the work. That's why it's called do the inner work. So wherever you are, one thing about a finisher is sometimes we can't finish because we don't have the tools we need. I can't finish fixing my car. I don't have everything I need. When you come to therapy, you'll get a therapy toolbox, and that incorporates our sessions and then the tools you will take home to be able to become the finisher.
Okay, now I got one more question, then I'm gonna jump into, because I know you got a couple of books that you've already had published and they're released, and I want you to share that. But maybe I should have asked the question this way. When you go to therapy, there's different types of therapy. Like there's, for what you're doing, mental awareness, and then there's business coach therapy, or no? Am I?
No. So you have, well, it is different type of interventions and modalities, such as CBT, which is cognitive behavior therapy, which we look at your thoughts, how they affect your feelings and your actions, right? You might have solution focus, where we don't just focus on the problem, we focus on the solution of the problem, right? But a coach, a regular coach, they don't have the credentials to provide therapy, which with therapy you can diagnose and you look at the symptoms according to the DSM, which is like depression and anxiety. A coach to me is someone who's like coaching you and holding you accountable with your goals. Therapies are therapists doing the same thing, but adding that anxiety piece, that depression piece, and getting you through that traumatic experiences and have the credentials to help you through that piece. So it's two different things. You have a coach and you have a therapist. And one thing about a therapist is we have treatment plans and we have treatment modalities that we kind of go from, but it also stems from whatever the client needs.
And I just want to let y'all know, I did set y'all up. Now, I asked her all those questions because I know some of y'all will be like, well, I ain't got no mental health. I need help with business. But there's a reason why you're not doing what you're supposed to do and reaching those goals in your business success. So Lori is the person for you.
No, I love that you said that. I'm going to touch on that for 10 seconds. That's right. And I'm going to be very transparent about myself. I would have never been a successful business. I'm a therapist, but I own my own private practice. I'm a business owner. I would have never been able to show up for myself, have the discipline, consistency I need if I didn't get therapy. I'm able to show up in my business because I did my inner work. On those days where I may feel like I'm emotional, I don't feel like I show up because I did the inner work. I remember my strategies, and guess what? I work out. That's one of the strategies, working out. I can't show up for you if I'm mentally drained, right? So even as a business owner or a coach, you got to do your inner work because you're going to bleed on your clients and then they're going to leave.
Amen. And they'll be like, what's wrong with you? You empty. And that's because everything that you got, you're giving it to them and you're not replenishing it. So let's jump into your most recent published book and where they can get them from, your hours of operations, and like what you're doing, Mama, so we can hook you up.
Okay. So I want to shed light on, I'll show it a little bit. It's called Fatherless Heart, the story of a fatherless child. So it's the story, is an interactive workbook. So it's not just my story, but it's the story of me not knowing my biological father, but also not having a great relationship with my grandfather. He was an alcoholic. So it's like he was absent as well. And so it shared my story, but also shared the healing process of my story and helping you as a fatherless child heal through your story. So in there, it talks about letters to your father. It talks about fatherless dating. It talks about imagine something that you missed from your father, such as a daddy-daughter dance that you always wanted. I'm very transparent about being abandoned and what that looked like, but I'm also leading you to how I healed through Christ and therapy. So it talks about Christ in there. At one point, I was the black sheep of my family, and God revealed to me that you may be the black sheep of your family, but you're my sheep.
Amen.
And so long as I'm in your life and you're doing the will that I have called you to do, then you're okay. And so I had to really zone into, because my mother and father may abandon me, but the Lord would never leave me and never forsake me. And so I'm here for a reason. All of that is in there, y'all. Like, you really got to read and say, hey, God is my father. I was never abandoned because the King of Kings didn't abandon me. I'm good.
Show the book again. You went too fast. Hold it up for like 15 seconds.
Okay.
Pull it up some more. There you go, mama. All righty. All right. Tell them where they can get that from, your website, hours of operation.
Okay. So you can get it from www.lfordcounseling.com. You can look under shop, but you could just explore my website and look at all the services that I offer. I have a product line. You can look at that. You can look at the speaking engagement, and you can definitely learn a lot more about me. And I also have a consultation form that if you want to schedule, if you live in North Carolina and you're a woman and you want to schedule a consultation with me, then all of the resources and directions will be on my website. So www.lfordcounseling.com.
Guys, Lori has dropped some serious nuggets. I have enjoyed this time with her. And make sure you go, because she's got social media sites, go follow her, go get the book, sign up for counseling, whether you think you need mental counseling sessions or just business help. In my opinion, they all go hand in hand, because you only got one brain. They don't split, because you got one side, I got mommy, daddy issues, and then I got another side, I ain't making it in my business. You got one brain, and it's all functioning the way that you don't want it to function. Please reach out to Lori. And if you're just joining, check out the replay. But I just want to remind you guys, this is the Simply Fit segment. I'm your host, Sandy White, your #1 health and wellness cheerleader. And we pride ourselves on bringing you guys the best information possible, because again, we're on a mission to save 1 million lives by encouraging individuals to live a simply fit life, not only through health and nutrition, but through training as well, so you can overcome suicide and depression. And that is why Lori was on here. So if you guys reach out to her, you guys will be in such a better place that you will never imagine. So with that being said, I want to remind you guys, we do broadcast every Wednesday at 7 p.m. on WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network. So with that, guys, I just can't say enough. We might have to have her on again, because she's got a lot of information, but we need to keep her on schedule, so we got to let her go. So we'll see you guys next week, and thank you for being on the show, Lori. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much.